Hey all, we're in chapter 10 of the book Spiritual Leadership, enjoying it. The title is The Indispensable Requirement, and the modernized version, the title is Above All Else. But it begins with a citing of Acts chapter 6, where we see the first problem in the church take place, where the Hellenist believers weren't being fed properly, and there arose a dispute, and the apostles basically said, hey, we need other guys to help this. And they created the deacons in Acts chapter 6. And there were qualifiers for the deacon. The deacon needed to be men full of the Spirit and wisdom and of good reputation. Full of the Spirit. And I love this chapter because it recounts for us how the Holy Spirit was in lockstep with everything that was happening in the first century church. Every direction they went, every move they made, starting with, of course, in Acts 1:8, where Jesus had promised the helper, the Holy Spirit, would come upon them and be that helper in life to guide and direct them and be the very presence of God in their lives. And we need to remember, the Holy Spirit is God the Holy Spirit, third person of the Trinity that resides in us, helps us, moves us. And don't miss all the accounts in this chapter about how the Holy Spirit was moving throughout the book of Acts, from the salvation of Paul to the bringing in of the Gentiles to the works of Peter. And it's amazing. It's a great read. But I'd like to look at this. To be filled with the Holy Spirit means that through voluntary surrender and in response to appropriating faith, the human personality is filled, mastered, controlled by the Holy Spirit. Now, it doesn't take over. It directs us and guides us and augments what we do. Maybe you have natural gifts that you're using for the church or for ministry. You're an accountant, a construction worker, or you have a gift in a certain area, or a gifted musician. That's great. The Holy Spirit will empower those natural gifts. But even more, if you have spiritual gifts that are given to us in 1 Corinthians 12 and Romans 12, you can go through that list and see those wonderful gifts. Gifts of service, gifts of discernment, gifts of giving, generosity, gifts of encouraging others, or all those things that are there. We recognize that the Holy Spirit is activating those gifts in our lives. So we really need to be mindful of the fact that we can't be a spiritual leader, we can't be an effective believer unless we are truly led by the Spirit. There's a statement, I've heard it said, I may get this wrong, that if the Holy Spirit weren't present in the first century church, 90% of what they do would not have happened. But then in our modern churches, if the Holy Spirit wasn't present, 90% of what we do would keep going. Now, I don't necessarily believe that. I don't think that's a great illustration. I think that, we can't accomplish what we're doing without the Holy Spirit activated in our lives. But read this chapter. It will encourage you. It will remind you to pray and ask the Lord to help you yield to His Spirit in your life, to be being filled with the Spirit in everything that you do. So enjoy this chapter, and we'll continue next time. We're going to look at leadership and prayer. Look forward to it.